I hope everybody's enjoying the summit so far. Yeah, come on guys. You've been enjoying it? You know, I'll reiterate this, but this the summit would not be possible without the sponsors, without the many, many volunteers that have actually contributed because they believe in this effort and they've done great things. And like I said, I'll reiterate that before the end of the day. But, just to try to capitalize on the amount of time we have available, we're about to go into our keynote speaker session, and it's really important that you listen to what Jeff is going to be, Dr. Weld's going to be speaking about, because he's going to be talking about a model along with maybe, City of Louisiana is not going to chase after just one particular thing, because I can tell you right now, the makeup of the state of Iowa is different from Louisiana, so it's obviously going to be different. But the idea is to give everyone an understanding of what this statewide initiative looks like, so that when you break out after this, you're able to have a voice and say good things, or hey, let's watch out for this, or our region is different with this. That's what our goals are, and then we're going to come back at the end, and based off of your feedback in those regional sessions, we're going to be asking Dr. Weld certain questions that are key. So let me give you a brief intro for Dr. Jeff Weld. He is the Executive Director for the Iowa Governor's STEM Advisory Council, a post he has occupied since its launch in 2011. Additionally, Jeff recently completed service as the STEM Education Policy Consultant for the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, after serving for 2018. As Senior Policy Advisor, by the way, I'll say that's a really great honor, what he was able to do. And I know that there were some representatives in there. Kudos to you, Jeff, for all that things you do. As Senior Policy Advisor and Assistant Director, he had the production of America's Strategic Plan for STEM Education, published on December 4th, 2018. And by the way, you can Google that and it'll pop up and you can read the PDF yourself. Jeff's 2017 book, Creating a STEM Culture for Teaching and Learning, in STA Press, comprehensively examines all aspects of the nation's STEM movement, highlighting best practices and lessons learned. In 2014, the Triangle Coalition bestowed upon Jeff the STEM Champion Award, and in 2013, the University of Iowa recognized him with the College of Education's Alumni Accomplishment Honor. Jeff is currently on extended leave from a faculty position in the Department of Biology at the University of Northern Iowa, where he secured over $5 million in grant funding, published the popular textbook, The Game of Science Education, and authored over 70 peer-reviewed research articles, essays, and book chapters on science education research and policy. He also conducted faculty professional development on content integration, prepared future science teachers, and created a natural history interpretation minor. In 2007, Jeff was named National Collegiate Biology Teacher of the Year for 4-year institutions by the National Association of Biology Teachers. A decorated secondary science teacher through the 1990s, Jeff was the Sibagagi. You have to explain that to me later. I've tried to pronounce it multiple times. Sibagagi Live Science Teacher of the Year in Iowa. Pella Corporation's focus on Teaching Excellence Award recipient and a National Access Excellence Fellow of the Genentech Corporation. Today, and for now anyway, his teaching is limited to new tricks taught to the family dog, Rico. We were joking about that earlier with the dog. Hey, you don't have to say it, that's right. Please welcome Dr. Jeff Weld.
Thank you, David. Thank you, everybody. Oh my gosh, I was with you last year at this summit, Skyping in from Washington, D.C., so it's wonderful to be here in person. I could feel the energy last year coming through the screen of my computer with STEM education activity taking place in pockets of excellence, I think it's fair to say, across the state of Louisiana at that time, and now this inspiring attempt to broaden and blanket the state with these STEM solutions. So great to be with you. I just think about the fortunate, lucky young Louisiana kids who are benefiting by your presence here today. soon will, or do because of your hard work, and how many more of that will you reach and inspire because you're investing in our time together today. And speaking of your time, it never escapes me how precious your time is, and I vow to use it to my fullest ability in three ways. Way number one, as Dave invited me to share, is Iowa's STEM education journey. It's a rich STEM network that's been established in our state, but I always want to acknowledge and pay homage to some states that we pulled pages from the playbooks of, including Washington State, one of the first in the nation to have a systemic network of hubs across the state, at that time funded by a group called the National Science Education Center at Smithsonian. And I want to acknowledge Ohio and North Carolina, both of whom were the first out of the gates, in my estimation, with STEM schools. And we certainly aspire and now have realized that journey. Other states I want to acknowledge are Kentucky. Kentucky is one of the first states I know of to launch a teacher STEM endorsement, a STEM teaching credential. And while I'm at it, I want to acknowledge California, because when we were getting off the ground, California was already launching a program we now call Scale Up through the informal network of California. Their zoos, their museums, their science centers. They were scouring the earth for the best activities, curriculum, kits, software platforms, and scaling them. And we definitely pulled that page out of their playbook, and we're scaling in other ways that I'll describe here shortly. Oregon is offering community STEM festivals early on. And so these are entities that we studied closely. Massachusetts also had an early STEM network under Governor Deval Patrick at the time in the mid to late 2000s. So what Iowa is an amalgam of the great ideas of others. We didn't invent much of anything, but we sure were smart enough to study those who are doing it right and try to replicate it. And in our instance, to David's point, customize it to my state's needs and refine it and make it better. And I think what I'm able to share with you today is that interpretation. So I'm a mere vessel, I'm a mere channel of a lot of really smart people in my state and beyond who have crafted this model. So with that, I'm going to invite the tech guys to cue up the slide deck. So it has been what we call an economic development mission for the state of Iowa. We probably haven't coined that term. I think somebody Googled it once when I said it, said, I got 100 hits on that word, you can't own it. But edunomics has rarely a sense of imperative in my state that has resonated with everybody. Well, I'm in love with STEM, and so are you. We all have this love affair. My wife tolerates. In fact, she doesn't just tolerate, my wife aids and abets this love affair with STEM education that we all share, because it's transforming education systems. And who among us doesn't want to have some hand in shaping education for the better for the future? So graphically, I feel like sometimes a little tugboat that is trying to alter the course of a massive cruise line of systems of education. And for just a little bit of energy and investment, I feel like we're altering the course of education. I know we're altering the course of education in the state. I've seen it altered in other states. I think the national plan that I'll allude to in a few minutes is definitely having a stamp on education systems across the nation that I'd love to share if we get time. It's incredibly humbling that that plan is out now. And as David mentioned, you can just Google America's STEM plan, a national STEM plan, a federal STEM plan. I've tried them all. And it's usually the first document that comes up. And I'm forever grateful that people communicate with me at the state level, national nonprofits, national corporations, informing me how that Fed plan is shaping their practices. And then I always shoot it all back to the White House Office of Science and Technology and say, look, it's actually working beyond I-495. People are embracing this document. So all of that to say, we're all shaping education for the better. STEM education, I don't tell you anything new when I say this, I realize, but we're all very fond of how this is spawning a collaborative learning environment in the state's schools, classrooms, informal and formal, that are executing a STEM agenda. Collaboration is an imperative, innovation, creativity, invention, equity, collaboration across boundaries in school and education. This is the brand that STEM has become. And it is taken on well beyond the STEM milieu. Part of the brand is, of course, building work and education bridges. The fever that STEM seems to have caught, the pulse that it's tapped into, is that the worlds of education and the world of work are connected through STEM. So I've been amazed to find, coming out of academia, the employer sector is also in love with STEM because it's an access point to help shape education and educational practices. A real quick side story, there was a similar movement to STEM in the 1980s, 1970s, 1980s. It was born of Sputnik 62 years ago. That turns out harmless satellite beaming from the USSR. And that spawned, as you will recall, a massive investment by the federal government in science education through the 60s and 70s. And that spawned outstanding curriculum like BSCS, perhaps you enjoyed if you're 50-something or older. Materials World modules, there's some really great curriculum. And the money was flowing out of the Congress to the National Science Foundation, predominantly, to universities, to professors who would gather teachers and equip you to teach in a rigorous new way to combat the Russian threat at the time. And one of the programs that spawned out of that movement was called STS, Science, Technology, Society. And my mentor, Professor Robert Yeager, who has just sold died a few weeks ago, was one of the founders of STS, and it was very STEM-like, and there's curriculum, there were books, there's a national conference every year, there's a magazine, the NASTS was the organization, and it fizzled in the late 90s, and I went to Bob shortly before his passing. I said, Bob, STEM looks and feels a lot like your STS movement, and I paid him a tribute in the book that David mentioned, his foundational thinking around STEM, and said, Bob, how do we make sure that the STEM movement in America is a sustainable one, and it doesn't suffer the fate of STS when the dollars dry up? And Bob said to me, that's exactly it. You have such an advantage over us. That was a two-legged stool, he called it. Federal monies flowing to universities, flowing to schools. And when the federal attention span got diverted, the money dried up comparatively. The PD ceased. The progress tailed off. Because you have three-legged, if not multi-legged stool, in that you brought the industry sector, the business sector, the employer sector to the table. Once that happened, the genie was out of the bottle. You're not going to ask the employer sector to disengage with education once they've been invited to engage in education. So it's a lovely new prospect. STEM education enjoys sustainability for the same reason that networks and ecosystems enjoy sustainability. Decentralizing leadership means that multi-stakeholders are far more likely to keep the momentum up in the event of a retirement of a charismatic leader or whatever. And that's why STEM ecosystems are so prominent in the federal STEM plan as well as your plans and mine. My state, like yours, heavily dependent on an industry talent pipeline. Our pipeline differs in some degrees in terms of points of emphasis. Of course, we're a heavily agriculture-based state, soybeans in the lower left there, but we're also, if that's manufacturing, manufacturing is actually the state's #1 economic driver. There's a lot of manufacturing, Vermeer Corporation, Pella, Window, John Deere, of course, and a variety of feeder manufacturers around that core. There's medicine and health science prominent, University of Iowa hospitals, much like your university hospitals, and the IT sector. Iowa claims a moniker, Silicon Prairie. I don't know if it's going to take off, but they're laying claim to it, and that's an emergent IT sector in the Des Moines area especially. So just let me share a real quick schematic. When my wife was looking over these slides, she said, now leave that one up for a little while. It takes a lot of digesting. And it's not that you need to digest this, but I think schematically it represents a structure that you may or may not find valuable. Especially, of course, you can find our governor and her co-chair at the top in the gray box. Governor Kim Reynolds, if you've ever seen her in a room or met her or seen her on TV, dynamo of personality, boundless energy, an incredible passion for STEM education and workforce development, especially when it comes to young women and young women's opportunities in STEM education. She's always co-operated the Governor's STEM Advisory Council with, in this instance, a business sector CEO, a global micro parts manufacturer called Mold CEO. Your folks with the Advisory Council fit in that gray box there too. There's 50 of these leading thinkers that I'm representing. My team is over to your right. We're a pretty lean operation. You go past Jeff and you've come to Carrie Rankin, Associate Director, and down the far right side, Program Manager, Communications Person, Grant Writer, Student Assistants. But the real thing I think is pertinent to today's conversation for you all is that bar beneath Carrie Rankin, Associate Director. The state did build, again, off replicas in Washington State, Massachusetts, and elsewhere, a regional STEM network, which has its origins in the very first STEM Council meeting on Halloween 2011, when wise thinkers said, this can't just happen out of Des Moines, Iowa, much like your capital can't reach the far reaches of the state of Louisiana. Even if you could, you don't want to, because Des Moines is suspect in some parts of Iowa. You get out to rural Iowa, and they don't want to hear from the capital. And so regional boards were established, regional managers, and regional tactics that the dreams are hatched by the council. Those dreams are brought to life by the regional boards and regional managers, and I'll talk more on that later. Under current pursuits, you can see 10 or 12 programs that we're currently executing, all of which, much as you're doing, were organically prioritized in some brainstormed, roll-up sleeves, sometimes duking it out, what should be the priority activities for the finite finances and the finite human capacity to make this grow. And over on the far left, current working groups are incubators, ongoing incubators that continue to serve up answers and solutions to us that feed back to the STEM Council's decision making. And finally, I'm trying to shorten the Irish story because I want to get to the charge David invited me to address, which is what were the challenges we face. But this is how the regional network manifests. I'll comment a little bit more if I get the chance on the deep commitment of our STEM Council under the leadership of Governor Reynolds to competitively bid everything. Nobody gets a sweetheart deal. Nobody gets to play Santa Claus. Nobody picks race horses to win. Everything is put out there for bids in an exceedingly transparent and open way, including how we regionalize the state. We knew that we needed regions. We randomly picked 6, and that's a long story, and then issued requests for proposals. Who would like to serve as a hub institution? And by the way, by serving as a hub, you're agreeing to cost share, give up some office space, and you got a company car, you belong to somebody, a telephone, a computer, and you'll make the hire, and get your health benefits. And amazingly, mostly the universities, of course, competing with each other to become these hubs. There's a variety of ways to go about this process. Some of the regions were competitive with economic development organizations, workforce development organizations, nonprofit entities, schools, high schools competed to be hubs. But the way the RFP was written was such that there was a bulleted list of a dozen capacities that were favored. Do you have any STEM expertise on the premises? Do you have a structure by which we can oversee budgeting, spending, accountability? The people most likely to check those boxes were the universities, and hence UC. That happens to be how it played out, but it wasn't the intent. Here's a more detailed list of the things that we're doing in Iowa. There's a couple I would love to highlight if I get time. The scale-up I mentioned is almost self-explanatory. Every year we cast a call around planet Earth for best-known STEM programming, some of which you're very familiar with, Project Lead the Way, FIRST Robotics, and Engineering Elementary from the Museum of Science Boston, and Spatial Temporal Math from the Mind Institute. So you'll know some of those names, and they all compete, once again, through an open process of selection. And if they win, if they satisfy our curiosity that they broaden their participation of students in terms of diversity and equity, they have a return on investment that they can demonstrate. The students are more interested and more capable, having completed their programs. Then we put them on a menu and we scale them up throughout the state of Iowa. STEM Desks is our school model. Best is copyrighted, so we thought we better do that. Business engaging students and teachers. We are acronym fans, and STEM Best is our school business partnerships. There's 63 of them across the state on small grants. We were talking over lunch about incentivizing. I'm amazed to this moment how far $25,000 can go. Each of these 63 schools, that's all they got from us, with the assistance, standard practice, that they cost match. So for 50K, 25 of ours, 25 of theirs from somewhere, these schools transform themselves. And so I'm amazed at this moment how little dollars it takes to ignite a transformative prairie fire in a school district, which those demonstrate teacher externships. If there's a singular program I would love to export, it's been exported to several states across the country to this day. It's teachers in industry in the summertime. Pretty deep dives. These aren't one-week job shadows. These are 6-week immersions. And they're not doing anything teacherly. They're using their physics, or their algebra, or their computer skills, or their chemistry to actually work in a plant that needs their chemistry skills, etc. And that has such a win-win. Teachers' content is updated. Anybody who came out of college in the 90s, and the sciences, oh my gosh, the pace of change. So to invite teachers into industry for summertime updates their curriculum, certainly updates their capacity to advise their students on the modern careers that are out there. And we found, through independent evaluation, significant difference among the students of teachers who took part in these programs, especially young women, to express interest in continuing STEM studies and maybe careers. We're still peeling that onion. What did that? Anyway, you can see we have some specialty schools in computer science. We copied the festivals from Oregon. We copied the endorsement from Kentucky. We're doing a lot of professional development, apprenticeships, etc., regional networks, and so on. So with that, I'm going to run these quick videos. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about messaging too, because I think David's charge will share some of the tactics that address pinch points or potholes or hurdles that we had to clear. One was big time on messaging. I've heard it come up in several sessions today, how important it is to tell the people what you're doing. And we finally won that argument with our council, and I'll tell you why. But first, this is a TV commercial that runs for free among the cable network channels of our state. You know, they're required to do some free services, and we tapped them through March Madness last year and get it through this coming March Madness in March. That, for some reason, becomes the heavy hit period where they run this thing day and night. Here's the commercial.
Why is STEM education important today? Let's look at tomorrow.
My team developed a technique that would reduce soil erosion by 80% and virtually eliminated nitrogen runoff.
Back in high school, I liked to work with my hands and build things out of nothing. I'm still building things today, they just happen to feed the world more efficiently.
Since 2031, I've known the human genome sequence for every single one of my patients. So now, I custom fit treatments for maximum effect.
The gears in these babies are more complex than ever, but we keep them going. We have to. 5 million Iowa homes depend on it.
Safer waterways for our kids to swim in.
Job security.
A healthier population.
Feeding the world.
We don't know yet how you're going to do it, but we can't wait to see what you do, because greatness stems from Iowans.
Thank you. Yeah, isn't that awesome? Those are all Iowa kids, by the way. Everything we do, brochures, media, we decided early on, don't get trained actors, get real young Iowans. And so that has been running. And it's a shock to the system when that comes on TV. You're on a treadmill in a fitness center, and that commercial comes on, you nearly drop and splatter. But it's an amazing tool, it's an amazing instrument that's being updated. Getting to the point here, David asked me to consider some design challenges, some promising practices and evidence that we've accumulated might help you. Well, one is that messaging I'll come back to. It's on the list there. And in the early days of the STEM Council, this was a finite pool of funds we had to invest, and there was a hearts in the right place sentiment among the councils that there's not going to be a dime spent. I remember one of my neighbors said, we're not spending a dime of the taxpayers' dollars for you to create television commercials. And I understood that their hearts were in the right place, but as you can tell, they came around because the messaging component became so instrumental. We do have an independent evaluation group, and the independent evaluation group was able to prove in year 2012, that hardly anybody knew anything about what we're doing. And it's exceedingly hard to get things done and win the hearts of our legislators and the citizens of the state if you're not telling them what we're up to. So we did win a hard-fought battle for a cost-matched, I believe we spent $100,000 the second year. And we put out an RFP once again. 7 marketing companies applied to be our partner and bring the other half. So Iowans are getting everything 50% off, including this commercial. And the commercial came with a new brand, Greatness Stems from Iowans. I find that a little bit pompous, but that's what's sold. And bumper stickers, lapel pins, radio spots, social media, and that's pretty priceless because this independent group every year does random phone interviews to thousands of Iowans. Again, not much money, it's all matched. And the upshot is we produce a 200-page annual independent evaluation of our work. And I've come to learn through our legislators that is so respected. This wasn't done internally. And the citizen support of STEM has risen in terms of awareness from under 20% to well into the 60s now. And when phone interview parents are asked, do you believe STEM education supports your son or daughter's future? Well over 90% affirmative to that question. The second question is, do you believe that's a priority right now in your son or daughter's school? That drops to around 50%. So we're able to take that data to the legislature and say our work is far from done, and that's been part of the success. The other one I'll mention is evaluation. Similar conversation with the STEM Council that scary Halloween day, 2011, when we said standard fare from academia, let's peel off 10% of the state appropriation and put it into evaluation. And again, Hearts in the Right Place said, no, that's way too pricey. That money needs to go into programming for students. And we got a compromise. But that independent evaluation has carried the day in Iowa on the press. Here we are, year 8, and legislatures with the demands on you to keep STEM at the priority level is an evidence of the evaluation effectiveness. You can tell there's a whole lot more here I want to talk about, but I'm watching Dave for the time. I think I'm probably down to a couple of minutes. I mentioned cost share and how important that is. Switzerland, that's kind of a given that I've seen STEM in so many states in starts and fits and sometimes disjoint because the entity charged with leading it isn't trusted by some other entity, right? And classic is the business sector and the education sector. There's a lot of distrust in my state between those two. The business sector thinks the ed sector is just not moving quick enough, and the education sector thinks the business sector is just all about making a new worker, and both are right in some way. But to pick a Switzerland entity, in this case, a small little regional university up in the northeast corner of the state to lead this thing proved to work well for everybody because we'll give these people a chance. But part of that was our governor co-chairing with the university president and then a CEO. We switch out every 2 years so that the business sector, as well as the education sector, see this is something for them. Teachers and businesses, those last 2 bullets. Anytime I'm with a group of teachers now, I invite them to see themselves as workforce developers. And sometimes there's a legitimate pushback. Many of my dearest colleagues say, I'm above that. I'm not about just making a new worker. I'm about making a global citizen. I have a school district my son attended. Their mission statement is to produce caring, responsible, intelligent human beings, or something along those lines. And I remember meeting the superintendent saying, if you could just put employable in there, too. All about this other thing is true, but that kid can still end up in the basement. So let's get him job ready as well. And that's my message to teachers, that they are the front line. And interestingly, that's the same message to the business sector when I have the chance to visit with business leaders. No longer, as you well know, can you begin mining for talent at age 18. Way too late. And what proportion of kids lost interest when they were 9? And so the business sector, thanks thanks to the STEM movement, has really begun to understand that their cultivation of talent, especially in a brain-drained state like ours, where one of our leading exports is not corn, it's young minds. But to get down into the 3rd and 4th grade as a business representative is a critical tactic, and one of the tactics is to teacher excellence, to have a teacher into your business for a summer, and you give them a hat and shirt that says John Deere. I see these teachers, they don't take that stuff off. They will wear your John Deere shirt all school year long. And that's free advertisement, and it inspires the kids, and it's an amazing thing to witness. The legislature, I have no real secret there, except that STEM at the Capitol has proven to be so critical. If you're not doing it, I recommend it. And it's very simple. It's February. Join ours if you like. One day in February, you're going to show up and take over the Capitol Rotunda in Des Moines, Iowa. And we have 4 members on the STEM Council from the legislature, a red and a blue from the Senate, and a red and blue from the House. And that bipartisanship is critical. And I'll tell you one quick story, and I'll probably be out of time, that a couple of years ago, there was a knockdown, drag-out fight in the Iowa legislature over collective bargaining among public employees. And it got messy, as you can imagine. And the next day after that all-night session in the Iowa Senate, we showed up at the Rotunda to do our STEM rah-rah. And there's exhibitors around the Rotunda, we served them lunch, the legislators come downstairs and schmooze and bond with everybody. And down the steps came the Senate Minority Leader and the Senate Appropriations Chair, blue and red, and they were fuming. Both were just red hot. Opposite ends of the massive stair coming downstairs, Bill Dotsworth and a guy named Bill Cameron. And Dotsworth came up to me, friend said, Jeff, we've been at it all night on this issue. I mean, almost fisticuffs. He said, oh, Senator, can you pull it together? Because we had the podium set up. And they did. These two stepped up to the podium, Democrat and Republican, and both said there's peace to the podium about STEM. And I kid you not, they did this rocky moment. They grabbed hands over the podium and raised each other's hands, STEM, we got STEM. And anything embodies the power of what we're doing and how it's bipartisan, nonpartisan, and how they can check all that other stuff at the door. It's STEM education. Everybody sees the power and potency of this. That's my legislature pitch. And then I'm just going to end on this one slide. This is a cover of the new federal STEM plan written by several thousand people, really. 3 from Louisiana came out, and they're listed there. I just want to acknowledge Calvin, Sonia, and Susanna. Them and 200 other people from all 50 states came to D.C. a year ago, June, to help us write this federal STEM plan. So although it's called a federal or national plan, it's not prescriptive, it's a guidepost. It's actually a North Star that I think you'll find very inspiring. It won't be a secret to you. It leads off with STEM ecosystems. That's the series of recommendations down below here under these 3 overarching themes. We got to diversify and make inclusive and equitable this STEM initiative we're on. Everybody ought to have access. And let's get everybody literate and work ready. And let's start with ecosystems across the nation. That's why you're all here. So that's probably about the time that I have. But I'm so grateful for the opportunity to share with you. And please consider me on call. David put me on speed dial if I can be of any further assistance. And it's really life honor to share this story. Yeah. Thank you.